Hello, this is Professor Marsh, and this is Lesson 19 on the Standard Deduction, and we may have a little bit of talk about itemized deductions, but this is basically the Standard Deduction. In the IRS Vita and TCE training, it's a relatively short course workout, only 17 pages. There is a lesson plan and instructor PowerPoint, and I've sent that along to some of you in case you're having trouble accessing some of the materials. I think the lesson plan and instructor PowerPoint present well the topics, although obviously the numbers have changed because those were written in 2021. Then there are links that take you to the most important topics when you're at the main page for Lesson 19. They take you to deductions and also age and blindness, and then taxpayers who can be claimed as dependents. And the reason that we're concerned about taxpayers who can be claimed as dependents on other persons' returns is because they don't get a full standard deduction. And there are some taxpayers who don't get any standard deduction and they have to itemize. Those are taxpayers who file separate returns even though they're married. So let's go to the skills workout. So let me go ahead and pull that up, and I will be there in just a second. And let's see, we're now on Lesson 19, and this is the Standard Deduction and Tax Computation page. And so that there'll be a link to that in your Wolf Den materials. On the skills workshop, page 1, Standard Deduction and Tax Computation, there is a link to publication 4491. And just make sure that you're looking at this year's version of the 4491. A lot of these links are to older versions. I've seen some that are as far back as 2015, one or two that are 2018, quite a few that are 2021. So just make sure that you're looking at the current version in the actual downloaded publication 4491 that you have in your materials. And I would recommend that you read it. It's only 8 pages, and I would read it fully. So when you get to the tab on Standard Deduction, Tax Computation 4491, read it fully and carefully. This material is key. Most of our clients in the Vita Tax Clinic will not itemize, and so they're going to be taking the standard deduction, or at least most of them are. So it's very important. Do the exercises and read the examples. Skim the material on the deduction for qualified business income. So don't worry so much about qualified business income. We will not have a lot of those types of clients, although you may find yourself getting tested on it, or it may be part of a case study. And then read the material on calculating the tax, and that's basically, for most of our clients, it's just looking up on the correct schedule, or actually when we're using the software is going to calculate the correct tax based on taxable income every time. Then page 2 of the skills workout is going to be the presentation of the intake interview and quality review sheet, and part 4 of that sheet, and you're going to see a number of questions about that. There's also a link in the materials to a standard deduction worksheet, but that's old. That's one of those 2018 forms. So don't look at that, but do go to the publication 4012 and go to tab F. So this is publication 4012. This is the Vita Volunteer training booklet that you can download for free off the IRS's website, and go to tab F, and this is the most current information about the standard deduction. So on the front of the publication 4012, it'll say 2022 returns, and then when you get into the table of contents, if you click on tab F, it should take you there, and the standard deduction chart for people who were born before January 2nd, 1958. Why? Well, that's because they would be treated as age 65 this year, or are blind, and you can see those various on page F2. You'll see the standard deduction chart for that, and then also the standard deduction worksheet for dependents, people who can be claimed as a dependent on another's tax return. And note the interview tips on page F3 of publication 4012. Those will be very helpful if you become familiar with some of those interview tips and the the mock interviews that they present in the materials. Those are very helpful in dealing with live clients. And then on pages F-5 to F14 in tab 5 of publication 4012. They have a lot of discussion of itemized deductions, and we'll do that in lesson 20. That's an advanced topic, so this is the basic material. Okay, let's go on to page 3 of the skills workout, and you'll see some job aids linked from publication 4012. Just remember that you want to be using the current version of publication 4012. I think a lot of these links go to older forms. On page 4, you'll see a case study, number 1, and the answers are correct. And you can see the various amounts that people can take, and then who can take the standard deduction. There are some people who can't take it, and people who are married filing separately, they have to itemize. Chase, who is in this example, he gets no standard deduction for him. So pages 6 through 7, there's a skills warm-up on standard deduction, and you can through that and again check your answers to see if you're getting them correct. On pages 8 through 11, and remember this is a very short chapter, so pages 8 through 11 are 4 pages about taxpayers who were older than age 65 and or are blind, and the additional standard deduction that they get. And how do they qualify to be age 65? Well, you know the date by now, January 2nd, 1958, born before that date. On page 12, there's some question about taxpayers who can be claimed as dependents. And then on pages 13 through 16 is the certification warm-up, so go ahead and do that. You can check your answers. And then on page 17 is the link to the tax layer tutorial video. And again, this is a very good video that also discusses itemized deductions. So it's the video for both the standard deduction and itemized deductions. And don't worry too much about the differences in the amounts that are in the materials versus the amounts that are current for 2022, because the tax layer software is automatically going to give you the current year, the correct amount for the standard deduction. So that's something that when you're in practice will not be a hindrance. So that's it for standard deduction. Have a great day, and we'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye.